Hey Star Warriors, StarGeek here. Last Thursday was a huge day for Star Wars fans, May 4th, known to fans of the saga as May the 4th be with you. I figure that a celebration of Star Wars, the impact it's made on so many lives, and the passion of the fans is best illustrated by the thousands of people who recently came together to commemorate it. Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017. Over the course of 4 days, Star Wars fans were treated to an amazing array of spectacles and experiences, and I wanted to share some of mine with all of you. I flew out from Seattle on Sunday night, a few days before the convention began. When I landed in Orlando, or Orlanded, as I like to say, I know, I was treated to weather that was 30 degrees warmer than what I was used to, and a landscape that varied from flat to even flatter. The first day was spent exploring the Disney resorts and getting acclimated to the warm weather. Day 2 included a visit to Universal Studios, which was actually pretty incredible, definitely a highlight of the trip. But they didn't have any Star Wars there, so we had to take it up a notch the next day. Destination: Disney's Hollywood Studios, the home of the legendary Star Tours ride. This was a cool, immersive experience with Star Wars environments leading you into a ship hangar, complete with C-3PO and R2-D2. The bantering between the animatronic droids is fantastic. You really feel like these iconic characters are actually there with you. The ride itself was quite a lot of fun, but just walking through the line and seeing all of the references, jokes, and exciting visuals, even if it took 90 minutes, was really fantastic in itself. The closing ceremonies at the park that evening were a highlight, with a stunning laser show in honor of the Star Wars saga, showcasing iconic characters, scenes, imagery, and quotes from the films. Disney definitely knows how to put on a show.
At the world-famous Chinese theater in Hollywood, California, Star Wars premieres, transporting audiences with these simple words. A long time ago, in a galaxy far, far away.
But enough of this. Let's talk about what I truly traveled across the entire country for. Star Wars Celebration Orlando. Day 1 was a huge mess. I don't mean to start off on a negative note, but I'd be lying if I didn't acknowledge that the organizers were underprepared for the kind of fandom that Star Wars would attract. When we showed up to the convention center, what greeted us was a line that wrapped all the way past the building, turning at sidewalks, looping around at various loading docks, then going back around and following the exact same path, and all the way to the other side of the huge building for over 2 hours. And this line didn't even have an animatronic protocol droid to keep you from boredom. Entering the convention floor was pretty cool, and the clear embrace of fan-made creations was great to see, not to mention all of the creative cosplay. The Star Wars community did not disappoint. There were all sorts of collectibles and toys from different companies. Organizations such as Funko, Sideshow, Hasbro, more companies whose names ended in O, and many other big names in the collecting community were all well represented. A large assembly of impressive movie props was on display at the prop store booth, showcasing items such as gowns, helmets of different sorts, spaceship miniatures, and even a screen-used Bespin Guard jacket that I actually might have worn a couple years ago. It's a long story. There were so many cool fan-made spectacles and all sorts of unique collectibles to be found, but what happened pretty early on in the day was definitely an unexpected surprise.
Wait a minute, is that?
Of course, one of my biggest idols of all time comes out on stage and my brand new camera refuses to focus. Great timing. Yes, the exquisite cinematography that you're witnessing right now is attempting to focus on my favorite actor of all time. Thanks, autofocus. Seeing the back of Harrison Ford's head and the legs of George Lucas was such an incredible experience. These are two people that I never thought I'd see in person, and even though my camera couldn't focus on their big entrance or their big exit, it was a really special moment. And then the president of Lucasfilm, Kathleen Kennedy, came out right after, which was also a lot of fun. My main mission for Thursday was to get 2 autographs, Jeremy Bulloch, who played as the original Boba Fett, and Dennis Lawson, who was Wedge Antilles for all 3 of the original films. Both of them were sincerely a joy to meet, genuinely nice people. What wasn't so nice was the 2-hour wait times for both of the lines. Just like ReedPop, Topps severely underestimated the amount of planning and organization that goes into an event like this. To even buy an autograph, you had to get into a line to purchase a ticket, get into a line to pick up a photo, get into a line that splits off into more lines, and then finally get in the line for your autograph. And once you did have your autograph, there wasn't an area sectioned off for you to exit, forcing you to slip under ropes and push through other fans. The whole thing was a mess. And so ends day 1. What a happy note. Don't worry, it gets much better from here on out. Day 2. With a newly equipped exhibitor's badge in hand received from friends at an awesome exclusive Star Wars party the night before, I was able to skip the disorganized lines and get onto the show floor a bit early. While checking out the ANA Star Wars airplane models, this happened. Anthony Daniels is always a charm, and the planes are pretty cool too, I guess. The celebrity appearances didn't stop there, with Hayden Christensen shooting t-shirts off into a crowd of fans early in the day. And then we spent the following hour standing and staring at a screen with audio that we couldn't hear, just waiting for The Last Jedi teaser to air. And while I have my own personal thoughts on the trailer, here's what the crowd thought. After browsing around the main floor, we ran across Regal Robot, a luxury Star Wars furniture company run by Creature Effects master Tom Spina.
We've got the infamous Han Solo and Carbonite desk. We actually made one of these about 10 years ago, and that was sort of the genesis for this whole project. We made one and the internet kind of lost its mind.
I also got a very close and in-depth look at a process that I'm interested in, C-3PO cosplaying. I got a chat with Gordon Tarpley as he got suited up in his costume, and once the final transformation was complete, 3PO totally came to life. It was very clear from the moment that he stepped out of the dressing area that he wasn't going to get far without being stopped by crowds of fans. It's such an impressive task to cosplay as this protocol droid, especially considering that all you can really see is this. Nonetheless, it's an experience that I'm actually interested in trying out for myself. After that, Alright, after that, I had to get ready for the main focus of the day for me. I was going to be talking on a panel to a room of hundreds of people. As part of the Star Wars collecting track run by some good friends of ours, I had the opportunity to sit up with a group of incredible influencers in the Star Wars community to talk about social media and networking when it comes to Star Wars collecting. The panel ended up being a lot of fun, and it was great to meet so many new people. Special thanks to Chris, Bill, Mike, Daryl, Amy, and CJ for making the panel a success. After such a long day, I was ready for some rest. But Star Wars always comes before sleep. I spent the late evening into the early hours of the next morning at The Room Sales, a great place for collectors and fans to come together and buy and sell Star Wars items. There are always a ton of gems, and this time around I came out with the iconic C-3PO cereal box, a C-3PO switcheroo, and a bunch of other fantastic items, many of them generously gifted to me. And then Saturday came along, the only day where I didn't have any obligations, didn't have anything planned, and couldn't wait to get going. As expected, this was by far the busiest day of the convention. Unofficially, and don't take my word for this, I heard that there were an estimated 70,000 people in attendance at this event. It just goes to show the extreme passion that fans have for the Star Wars saga. The first thing I did, well, technically the first thing was seeing Anthony Daniels again immediately, but I don't have any footage to prove it, so you'll just have to trust me. So I guess the second thing I did was to stop by our Seattle Friends Space Club booth. From ForlomToZuckus.com, JediBusiness.com, IGrewUpStarWars.com, and the Galaxy of Toys podcast all helped put this together. Definitely make sure to go check out their sites. It really seemed like the cosplay was getting more and more impressive. This General Grievous was definitely a highlight, with moving legs that were operated by someone completely shrouded behind a cloak. And it just wouldn't be a Star Wars convention without a few astromech droids. Sorry, did I say a few? I meant a battalion. The droid builders never fail to amaze me, and the creativity behind some of these astromech droids is really impressive, whether they just look like Batman, have a kid inside of one, or just freeze them in carbonite. Here's just a quick shot of legendary Star Wars author Timothy Zahn, 'cause why not? I spent most of the rest of the day looking around at shops, talking to fans, and checking out the cosplay. That evening came the Collector Social Swag Swap, which is where fans set up to trade other fans for their homemade items. I actually had a whole set of self-designed pins, as well as a C-3PO bottle cap that I sponsored as part of the collection for the Seattle collectors group Sarlacc. Here's the big haul of different types of pins, buttons, patches, and other assorted swag from this year's swapping. It's pretty insane how creative fans can get. And then came the final day. For having been a part of the collecting track, panelists were gifted a bunch of fantastic items donated by the Star Tot sponsors and other generous and talented people. After visiting all of our friends from the collecting community, it was time to meet some other very influential people in the Star Wars populace, fellow YouTubers. Along with Nerdphilia, Dash Star, Battlefront Updates, Geekdom 101, and Star Wars Explained, I was able to meet and mingle with subscribers, which was a really fantastic experience. All of you were a pleasure to meet in person. It's really what made this year's celebration so special, being able to meet so many people from around the world who all share the same passion. In the Star Wars community, there really isn't another event where this could happen on this scale. Huge thanks to all of you who showed up. Out of all of the cosplay that I saw at this convention, K2SO is definitely a character that I never thought I'd see in real life, and this is an extremely creative version of the snarky droid. And speaking of K2SO, Alan Tudyk was the last autograph that I had to snag, and he was such a great personality. He was super friendly and a lot of fun to talk to. The Rancho Obi-Wan booth is always a must-see. This year, in honor of Carrie Fisher and Kenny Baker, they had full Princess Leia and R2-D2 areas on display. To celebrate the 40th anniversary of A New Hope, their display mimicked what a kid's dream Star Wars bedroom would look like in the late 70s. A lot of creativity went into this. It was also really cool to see a local Seattle collector up on the StarWars.com live stage. He only had to be the act to follow up, Mark Hamill. Yeah, if you wanted to see celebrities in person, the live stage was definitely the place to go. And it ended up being a great venue to watch the closing ceremony as the convention came to an end. The hosts wished us all goodbye as we successfully closed out Star Wars Celebration Orlando 2017. Star Wars brings together so many different types of people from all over the world in a way that is entirely unique. For 40 years, these films and the franchise that's been built up around them has entertained moviegoers and inspired generations of fans. This event is just one way of showing the love and passion that so many have for this saga, and I wanted to share that with all of you. Let's all raise a glass of blue milk in honor of everything and everyone who's made Star Wars into what it is today. Thank you, and may the Force be with you. I'm not sure how many of you have seen the film that George Lucas made right before Star Wars, American Graffiti, but it's one of my favorite movies of all time. I'd love to dive into some of Lucas's films other than Star Wars that I adore some other time, but I'm bringing this up because at Universal Studios, they actually had a replica Mel's Drive-In. You can really eat at the iconic location from the movie. And with the Deuce Coupe parked right outside, I couldn't help but get a little bit excited. If you haven't seen the movie, I highly recommend it.
American Graffiti. Where were you in '62?